Right, everyone, welcome back to season 2 of the Self-Employed Estate Agency playlist. This week, I'm joined by Sarah. Sarah's going to talk to us all about what's been going on over the last sort of couple of years or your career in agency. But first of all, how are we doing?
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
You've got no idea what I'm going to ask you.
I don't know.
That's the beauty. It's authentic. Remember that. So my first question that I've been asking people is why? Why take the career risk, the financial risk, and why go self-employed? Why start your own business? What was the big driving force if you cast your mind back to why?
My biggest driving force is my daughter. I think I got to a stage where it was near on impossible. I think it's hard enough to get a balance anyway in life, with work in life and family life. And it was trying to work out, okay, what is the best way to get as much balance in both sides, because I'm not somebody who wants to walk away from my career. And I think you have to put that on hold for, a year when you're having children. And it was
sometimes longer for people.
Sometimes longer. Well, longer for me actually as well. And it was something that was still burning in the pit of my tummy, that I didn't, as much as I'm fulfilled with being a mother, I didn't have my full fulfillment by not doing something career-wise. I think most people, if they can start up their own business, it's the dream way to go, isn't it? And with the experience that I've got prior to having my daughter and prior to knowing about Avocado, it just wasn't an option for me. And it was something that I think would have been too big a leap doing it off my own back. Mm-hmm. So to have that security of a brand, that I believe in the values that are followed by the brand, but also be able to have time for my daughter and time to follow my passion, it was a no-brainer.
It's taking the control of the diary, isn't it? That's a big thing, especially for parents, I think, is having the control of your time.
Yeah. It's massive. Even looking at last week, we had a Halloween party at my daughter's nursery, and it was from 3:30 till 5 o'clock. And if I was an employer, there's no way that I could have been able to go. So to be able, when you see their faces, when you go in and you're showing up, to be able to do that and still have time to manage life and still be able to fit everything around work-wise,
Makes a big difference.
Makes a big difference.
And for context, for people that don't know your kind of background, I remember, I think you were like 19 when you started, but I remember you coming into the office. I think we had a manager on holiday, someone had just left, and you were just thrown in at the deep end for a month. Like most, you're just like, there you go, here's the busiest market in the company, crack on, trainee at 19. But you built a career out of that. You stayed there, you built a career. How long did you do employed estate agency?
How old am I now? So I was 19 when I started, so I would have been in employed estate agency for 12 years, 13 years.
So you climbed from a 19-year-old trainee up to a lettings manager.
And a real bottom level trainee as well. I was still doing my A-levels when I started, and thought, okay, this is something actually that I would really like to get into. Took a chance at it, fell in love with it, decided to stop all other routes that I was going down, and built the ladder up to, I think after 5 years of running my own office, that it's difficult then when you've that was one of the things I think when I had a couple of conversations at the time with my husband about it, that I say it's great, and I absolutely bow down to anybody that can do the full-time mum life also, because it is tough and it gives you that other side of life that I need for my sanity as well. But it almost felt like a bit of a dead end. I'd worked up the career ladder, and it was almost like, what for? To just stop to
after having kids,
after having children, if that's it, and I'm just stopping. Or the options for me at the time were to go back in admin roles, to be able to, of course I could have gone back into the same role, but it wouldn't have been giving me that flexibility to be able to be there for my daughter. So it was almost like what was all those 12 years for?
Felt wasted, probably. Yeah, I totally get that. So what's been like the most difficult part of starting your own business? What surprised you as being the hardest? Let's talk negative. Like what's been hard? Let's be raw and authentic and honest.
Do you know what? I think the hardest thing is probably self-confidence. There are days, and it's great that I've got somebody that I do it with,
Yeah.
that we can bounce off of, and you're not ever spending a day where you're thinking, oh, what do I do next? Because that other person is there to pick you up. And but I think it's the self-belief of being able, I suppose it's almost like you don't think that you should be able to, you've always worked under somebody else.
Yeah.
You don't think that you should be able to be successful. And when you start to see that success, your confidence grows with it, because you think, no, actually, this is what I've done and it's what I'm good at. And other people will believe in you as well. But I think that is the hardest thing, is the self-confidence. I know for me specifically with Avocado, one of the big things, which I really probably, massively overthought, was things like being on camera and social. And I suppose from what we're doing now, from the digital marketing side, it was a real learning curve, but you've got the time now to learn it. Whereas before, you're so focused on just getting figures and going into managers' meetings and stuff that actually doesn't help your job at all.
You're just updating people that want to know
meetings about meetings,
and
because you're supposed to be there on those set times when, and that's what would have been more frustrating than anything, knowing that you're sat in a meeting about a meeting when you could be with your children or doing what you want to do. You don't get any more work done by doing that. If anything, you get less done because it's stretched out over to a whole day where you're doing it for somebody else and following what they say you need to do with your day.
When you go from employed to running your own business, you no longer have that person that you can look up to get an answer.
Yeah.
You have to find the answer yourself. So it does become a case of building that confidence and the habits of finding the answer, finding the solution to the issue. Or you talk about socials and video and digital marketing. No one starts and goes, oh, I know all of this. And then it takes a little bit of time to learn it. And then the confidence sort of arrives as you get more educated.
I don't think anyone was an influencer beforehand.
No.
But it's funny though, because it's stuff that actually you do find answers for on your own. When you're running your own office, you don't go to the person above for all of these issues that are needed. But yeah, it's just that confidence of being able to say, no, I do know, and I can go and do this myself, and I've got enough knowledge to be able to head all of this
in the right direction.
Yeah.
And talking about like maybe the single best moment that's happened since you shared the story, obviously, about going to the Halloween nursery and stuff like that, which is great personally. Is there anything where you went, wow, that's a moment where I realised I'm in the right frame, I'm in the right place, I'm working towards the progression that I want, I'm building something that my daughter's going to be proud of? Is there any kind of one single standout moment or a collection?
I would say actually probably over the last month or so, we've been really following the blueprint and the model that we want to follow, where again, I think that takes confidence to step away and think, actually, no, we know how a property should be marketed, and you need to take these steps rather than just flinging it onto Rightmove.
Yeah.
And in the past week alone, we've sold 3 properties before they've hit Rightmove, purely from our own advertisement and our own work. That's not relying on a portal to do it for us. And we've had 2 that have sold over asking price in that as well. But yeah, I would say the last couple of weeks of being able to do that by following what we think we should be following has proved that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you sort of built the template, you built the blueprint. Now you've seen the results of making those decisions without the support of anyone else around you, which helps with the confidence. And you've got the results outside of the portals as well, which most people think estate agents just slap it on the internet and it does its thing.
It absolutely does. It's not what works. And I think it's easy to go back to past life in career and think, no, it's got to go on Rightmove. And even with the valuing stage, it's easy to be swayed by what a homeowner is saying as well. But that's a confidence thing as well, I think, because it's easy to be a yes man and not sell a property. But by following the steps that we know work and seeing that it works, it builds that confidence even more.
And now you mentioned your husband, you mentioned your daughter, family. what's the plan financially with kind of what you're building, what you're trying to create? Is there conversations? You must have had conversation, I imagine, with your husband, being that I know that he's in finance and planning and that aspect of it. So is there kind of a long-term plan with how you want to kind of utilize the business to create the life you want, create the future, create the wealth? What's the kind of sort of conversations you've had and how you can use the business to do that?
So for the short term, we have been in our home now for 10 years. And we have never quite got to the stage. People must be sick of us saying we're going to extend the property.
Oh, you'll want to know.
So initially it was an investment property that we have moved into, brought our family into. And I suppose with where we were before, we were stuck, so to speak, because we want to be where we are for schools, and we like the house. But our short-term goal is to be able to extend the house that we're in and stay in the area that we want to stay in, which obviously now that I'm able to put in extra, we've got a bit that we can set aside, and that is our initial goal, is to sort the house as it is.
It's a good driver.
A massive driver.
Leverage higher dividends, or almost looking at it and going, right, if I do X amount of completions a month, then we can put that into the extension pot. So it's a big driver.
Massively, because it is bonus money that needs to be used as from where we were before, basically, to do that, because we were not in a position to do that before. And then onwards from that, we, of course, would want to pay off the mortgage. And we would like to get ourselves in a situation where further down the line, we've got investment properties which can become a pension pot for us, and safeguard our daughter's future as well.
Yeah. I think people sort of listening and watching this, it's really important to understand that it's not, some people say, right, it's about building a business where you've got this exit plan. Sometimes it's about having a really strong cash flowing business with really high profit margins that you can then live your life through and hit those boxes and hit those goals. And actually that's a more valuable way of building over the next 10, 12 years than trying to create this business that makes no money, that then you try and sell at the end of 12 years and you're kind of like, well, that was a lot of stress, risk and not much reward at the end of it. So I think that's an important part that people need to understand, is if you set this up correctly with your accountant, with your plans, with your structure, and you're not just building yourself another job, then you can do those types of things, which is really important. So with people kind of watching, mums, maybe particularly kind of females building their career at the moment without children, or just anyone in general, someone's thinking about, becoming an avocado partner, starting their own company, what would be one or two pieces of advice that you would give them?
So I would say to have confidence in yourself, that your career doesn't have to stop when you've had children. If you've got passions that you want to chase, why should you not be, especially as a woman and as a mum, why should that, as you said earlier, go on hold for more than a year or completely stop when you have children? It's something that you can do and get the balance. Of course, that it is, you still have to put in the work, and it is tough. I think at any stage, trying to find that balance and train yourself to keep motivated. But if it's something that you're passionate about, it's the way that you can do it and keep.
If you've built that career, don't settle for that kind of that back end, kind of just above minimum wage, sort of part-time hour contract. If you built like a 12-year career, there's other options.
I remember when I looked at my transferable skills from my career in a estate agency, when I was thinking it's going to be impossible for me to get back into it and have, I know I keep saying balance, but have the balance that I wanted for my daughter, because I think, dad guilt is a thing as well, but I think mum guilt is a real ingrained thing, especially in our society. It's we're expected to be mum and be able to cook dinners, take out whatever else.
Yeah, I can only relate to the dad guilt side of things, but it is something which is very obvious that there is a certain amount of pressure to tick certain boxes as a mum, especially a mum that wants to carry on a career they've already built. What were some of those transferable skills?
Sales, customer service,
ability to talk to people,
ability to communicate. There was the marketing side, but I think it was really difficult when I was looking on paper, okay, these are things that I can do that I've been doing. And then when you're looking at, okay, what career can I go into that's going to be able to work around me, but take those skills away that I can transfer them over to, it wasn't really ticking the boxes. And it's stuff that I've done over and over again.
Yeah.
Um,
People love estate agency. I think that's something that people have to remember is I fell out of love with it, but this brought me back in love with it because it is something that it's addictive. I remember being in agency for 9 months and then going up north or something like that, and you're looking at boards. Like, oh, what's that board? And then, or you go on holiday and you look in the shop, the estate agency shop in Spain or wherever you may be, and you're just interested.
Always seeing the prices, seeing the house.
It's your DNA at the end of the day, isn't it? So why not create a business and then do the things that you want to do through life, through that business, through the skills that you've fine-tuned over a long period of time.
And it's changed now as well. As much as I want to go and I've got that interest and that passion in property, I've got my daughter that comes along, and every time the avocado signs that it's mummy's work, or and to be fair, if anyone has avocado for breakfast, she thinks it's mummy's work. But it's sharing that passion with my family now as well, which wouldn't have been done before. But now that it's mummy's business, it's a passion that we've all got and we're all working towards.
Feels nice. So
yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's good. Love to hear that. Thank you for sharing your story and your advice. And we'll be back with another episode next week.
Thank you.